was sure that it'll be easier to clear you from my mind. Struggle with dusty corners till we're filled with faded bombs. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Situation got upset when I stepped on a memory thorn. How I did it to my shell. Let out heavy, had to break free from the minefield that you were. Bomb, bomb, bomb. I wish you fall out from the window, take a bad trip to the ground. It'd be my pleasure, see your pressure just before you break a bone. I wish you fall out from the window, take a bad trip to the ground. Ooh. It'd be my pleasure, see your pressure just before you break a bone. You're reflecting, I'm deflecting, burning tires to move on. Too many noises, clash the choices, future came and left like ghosts. No more messing, no caressing, heavy pending on the walls. How I did it to my tail, craving out here, practice land, sleeping on my bed, it's golden sand.
Last time we did talk about having to make things a bit bigger and the reason why I do in between pieces, but now that we know that it shrinks, we can do this on purpose. I'm gonna make an area thin enough that when I cut I can push it in and then it'll appear closer by overlapping it on the other piece. Of course it will still appear bigger, but as we know, the closer something is, the bigger it will appear, so it will look natural. So think about the arrangement of the pieces and where you can push them in and take advantage of this overlapping process. If you've seen some of my other videos, you might have noticed that I changed the process, and that's because with the heat it creates distortion in the frame. Although with experience I learned to manage the heat a bit better so that there's the least amount of distortion possible, it still is a big problem in something like a frame, where you would like it to be perfect sitting against the wall. I figured if I had welded to a plate in the background, it would prevent the pull of distortion just a bit. It helps slightly, but I can say that I haven't perfected it yet. I think my next attempt would be rather to heat it with the frame on, welded to the back plate of the table. Ideally, thinking about this from a purely logical sense, the best bet would probably be to mount this and color it backwards. And then I would be able to control the heat a bit better as it would have a structure. Whereas the frame, just like this, is still a plate with, yes, a bit more structure, but not quite as much as if it was a box. Although it's easier to control where you're putting the color if you're mounting it from the front view. When I control my heat, I tend to use these big, heavy pieces of metal, and that's really because as the heat rises the plate on my side, by putting something heavy on it, I can push it back down just a little bit. Some of you might wonder why I color my pieces before I weld them together, especially if welding them together creates discoloration. And well, the reason for this is really that I texture it so much. So the fact that I texture things at different levels, for example, if I do the cutting disc on the hair, then the hair will be thinner than something else that I just sanded by very small amounts, but it will be. And then if I would color all of these in proximity to one another, I would have a much harder time controlling the color of that one specific thing, let alone that it's already a bit difficult to color something one unison color, because not only the difference in thickness, but the difference in the overall size of the pieces vary so much that adding yet another circumstance that would make it harder to control is just more difficult than trying to come and blend over all of the places that I welded together. I think this would be a good time as any to ask you if you appreciated and enjoyed this content to just give me a little like or subscribe. And I'm not going to say to hit the bell to get more of my videos, because that'll just tell you I have something new all the time, and it might just annoy you more than anything, unless of course you really enjoy seeing all my content as soon as it comes out, in which case be sure to hit the bell. If you really like this piece of art, it is up for sale. This is actually part of an art exhibit that's being held not far from where I am. If you would like to go check out the pieces in person, then I would welcome you, if you're in the area, to come and visit. And I will leave the address in the comments below.